Okay, we'll start today's class. This week we'll focus on data visualization. After you clean the data, you get the summary of the data. But if you don't present the data, you don't create graphs with the data, then it's hard to detect the trend from the data. It's hard to say what you want to express from the data. But with data visualization, with the graphs, it will be more intuitive and more expressive with the result. Today, we will focus on the technical things, how to create the plots, and on Wednesday, we'll focus on how to choose the appropriate chart and chart type and how to explain the data. Because with the data, with the graph, we have fancy stuff, but you have to tell a good story from your data, from your project. Okay. You use Matplotlib for these tasks, but there are also some other libraries that support data visualization, and we'll also mention these on Wednesday, like the Plotly and this one. I think these are for like plotting maps, and this one is very convenient for pivot table. Because with this you don't have to generate a pivot table and then plot the data. With this you can do it in one step. So we'll mention some of the other libraries on Wednesday. Okay, let's get started with some basic bar plot. So this is data with some sales records, each representative, and then their sales number of products they sold on each day during the week and the total. So a basic bar plot could be their record total number of products they sold in a week. For this data, we can use a bar plot. Bar plot is perfect for categorical data. Like you have to present the record for each person. This is the categorical data, and then the numerical data. So I've already imported this data and imported the library. To make a bar plot, it's really easy. So with this, should write PLT for short. So you just tell what type of chart you want, and then give it the data. So the data we want to give is, let's show the data frame first. So the data we want to give for the x-axis here, that's the names. And then the y-axis here is the number of products they sold. So we can index the data, So x-axis is their names, so it should be the 0, right? Column 0. The position for this column is 0. So I just give it 0, and then the total number of products sold. The indexing should be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's the number 6. And for rows, for the number of rows, I just leave it blank. We'll select all the rows. So That should give us a good plot. Okay, looks good. So here when you output the result, you will show this code, and if you don't want this to show, then you can do PLT show. It will remove this code. Yeah. Okay, so this is a very basic, simple plot. However, with this one, I don't know. I really don't know what's this plot about and what is this y-axis means. So we need to add sufficient explanation, sufficient elements for the plot to tell audience what this plot tells. So we can add, we can reuse this code, and what we can add is the X label could be sales representatives. And the Y label could be number of products. And title also. These are very basic elements for a chart, right? Also, oftentimes we can set up this. So this is called Y ticks. This is the X ticks. And also we can show the legend. The legend is something like this on the top. It shows what these bars mean. This is helpful when you have multiple bars in plot. So here I included a picture shows the basic elements in a chart. Yeah, so these are all important parts, and you can add it to your plot. Let's customize the white text. I could use the NumPy library to set up, for example, this could be 0 to 20 and with one step of 1 for the step. Right now the step is at 2.5, right? So I can choose this step, set up the step at 2. This will give the white text, give a series of number to the white text. So, okay, this looks much better. At least we know what this plot is about. It's all the important information now. So that's good. The next thing I want to do is a horizontal bar chart. I think for this case, it's not necessary, but when this categorical value has over like 8 or 10, for example, we have to plot the number of enrollment in our for each department in our school. Then you have over 10 departments, right? This vertical bar chart will be very squeezed and very tight. So in that case, then you can use the horizontal bar chart, and this will be more extended. And again, it's really easy. You can just copy this entire code, and what the only thing you need to change is change the bar plot to a horizontal bar. But now we have to move the X label, switch the X label with the Y label, and also the text should be different now. Right? You all can follow along and let me know any question. Okay. Title we don't need to change, and this Y text should go to X text now. So so really just quickly switch the bar plot to a horizontal bar plot. Again, this should be used when this category go feature has many values instead of just 4, so it can be extended. Okay. Next one I want to do is to, instead of present this total number of records, I want to present the records for each day and each person. So in such case, we need to use the grouped bar chart to have two-dimensional. One-dimensional is the person, and then the other dimensional is the weekdays. Right. And we can just follow this format. So this bar plot, this method really has more than just 2 parameters. In the first plot, we only use the 2 parameters, and here actually there are more parameters. The first one is the x-axis, and this is what we use. The x-axis set up the x position of these bars. So in the first case, we only gave it we give it the names. However, in this group, the bar chart, we had to give it. We have different groups of bars. So each group should start at a different position, right? The blue group start at this position, and the orange group, the position of its x-axis should be moved a little bit right. And further, this one should be moved a little bit further right. So that's how we plot this group the bar chart. The height is still this one. This one is the data of the number of products they sold. That's the same with this one. The height is the number of products they sold. And the width is how wide this bar is. Usually you can set it up by your own value, like 0.1, 0.2, and if it's bigger, you want the bar to be like fatter or bigger, then you set a bigger number. And you can adjust it to see what is the best value for the width. And the bottom, we'll use it for the stacked group bar. Okay, let's just try this. X-axis. So you reuse this code. Okay. So the format is the x-axis and the height. Height doesn't change. So height should be, instead of the total number of product, we use the Monday and the Tuesday, right? Let's add the Monday, the data for the Monday record first. So Monday should be 0 and 1. The column number is 1. And it's the x-axis and the y and the bottom. We don't need the bottom here, but for the next time. So let's set up the y's. Y's, I'll give it a number equals 0.2. And the x-axis for the first group, the blue ones, I can set up a series of numbers, like this position could be 0, this position could be 1, the x position here, 0 and 2, 0 to like 10, right? So this could be position 0, and this could be 1, and this could be and the same interval. So this x position should be 3 and 4. Right? Does that make sense? Do we have any question here? So this is the first parameter is the x position. For Anna, I set up a 0 or maybe 0.5, any number. But and then Jason probably is the step is 1. So this is a 1.5. This is a 2.5. It's the same interval. Right? So with this 4 numbers, what we can do is to use a NumPy range. This is 0, and this is the 1, 2, 3, 4 numbers. So we get all these positions. The position for this blue group Monday data. And for this yellow group, then if this position is 0, this position should be moved a little bit right. 0 added the y's, the y's of the group. So if this position is 0, this should be 0 plus the y's. And the same with this one. So this one should be 1 plus the y. Does that make sense? Maybe I'll show on the code, it may be more intuitive. So Anna, okay, x is the position for Monday. The record, this blue ones is from 0 to 4, actually not 4, so 0, 1, 2, 3. It gives us 4 positions. And now I can give this data, this position, this list of data to this method. That's really we all need for the first group, the blue group. And now for the orange group, I still need 4 I still need 4 values for these positions. And the value I need is to use this value and plus the move a little bit right, plus 0.1 of what is the white I set up? 0.2. Move it a little bit right, plus 0.2. Also same with this one, so 1 plus 0.2. So we mentioned that NumPy, you can just add a number to the NumPy array, and it will give us back an array, right? So this will be the position for the second group, the Tuesday data. And likewise, so what should be the x-axis for the third group, the green group? The green group should be this one, move further right a little bit, right? A little one step right. So should be plus 0.2, or you can use times 2. What we forgot to change is the height. So this is the Monday, and this is the Tuesday. Tuesday data should be, the index should be 2, and the Thursday data should be 3. And just copy this code for Thursday and Friday. Okay, looks good. Let's see. Problem is a little bit, the bars are a little bit too wide, so it takes all the space between the groups, and the X label is not correct. We need to set up the X ticks. So to make them a little bit narrow, I can try 0.1, and the X ticks. I can give it the data from the first column. First column is the name of the representative. So I can give this to XTX. Yes. Let's try to see and what it looks now. So I wasn't able to convert. It only takes the X labels. So it only takes the like numerical data. It doesn't take this data. What we need to do is, I think I met this problem. See the code here. what we could do to use the label, use the label here. We used the so what we could do is to use this x-axis as the value here, and then give it to the this data. Oh, the screen. Okay. So what was the y that I used here? The same. So what I did wrong is it should have, when you set up the y, then you need to give this, use the equal function. This equal sign, so that should settle it. It's still different from what I presented. Let's see what made this difference. Okay, the difference here is, as you see, the difference here. So these are the bar, the width of the bar is 0.1, and then the x-axis moves by 0.2. So it moved further. So the width of the bar is 1, and this second group moved 0.2. That's why it's not next to each other, right? So what we need to change is to move this the same step as the y. Does that make sense? Yeah. So to change this value, and it will set. Okay, looks much nicer. And for the group, the bar chart, we can have a legend to explain what this blue group means, what this orange group means. That's called a legend, and you can set up the legend here. And And for the legend, I'll just give the first row, this first row to the legend. Okay. The first row, it should be from the first row, so it should be 0. The row number is 0. And the column number, I don't want the first one here and the last one here. So it should be 0 from 1 to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it should be 1 to 6. And also it has another parameter called location. Set up the location as upper left. Or you can try do the location best. Okay, so obviously we get the wrong data. Let's check it. This is the row number, right? This the row number is 0. And the column number is from 1 to 6. But it got the data from the in the first row instead. Okay, so it doesn't count in the column names. So actually I should just give it the column names. And the number I should give is still, I believe it's still 1 to 6. All right. Okay, that fix the problem with the indexing. I guess that's all we need for this grouped bar chart. So from the grouped bar chart, we can compare each person's records on the different days. We see John probably has a better performance than others. But we are not sure because it doesn't tell us the total. So what we can do is to use a stack the bar chart instead, and that allows us to the total number of sales of each representative. And with the bar stack the bar chart, if we look at this format, we look at this method again. So does the x-axis for the different groups change? The x-axis, the x position, does the x position change for each group? It doesn't change. Yeah, the orange group and the green group, they all have the same x positions. Height is still the numbers. You think about this one. If you sample this actually green, and this orange is behind it, and this green is behind the orange one. So that the height is still the record of each representative, right? And what change is the bottom. So this one, this orange group, the bottom, it starts over here after the group, blue group. And the green group, the bottom of the green group is raised up to here. after the orange group. So what changes the third parameter, the bottom? How can we change this code? So the x-axis, I should delete these numbers. It doesn't change now. So did I copy? So the x-axis doesn't change now, so I just need to delete these. And the height is still the sales records for each person, so it doesn't change also. What changes the bottom? This bottom, the blue group, the bottom start at 0. The bottom start at 0. And the next group, the bottom start depends on the first group of data. Right? The bottom starts after the first group of data that is raised. So what I should do is copy this data. And the next group, the bottom starts is based on these two groups added together. So, okay, just copy this over. And this should change it into stacked group price. Looks nice. Okay, okay, we'll take a break here so you can practice how to produce these 3 types of bar chart. We'll use 5 minutes, okay? And you can either use this example, the data from this example, or you can use the data in your assignment. Okay, do we have any questions so far?
Ask how I can extend that out.
How many? Oh.
Uh,
How many countries?
yeah,
How many countries?
they're plotting what I understand is plotting the population growth in North America.
That's the continent coded four. That's we. Yeah, you can imagine,
Yeah, how about
or you can use there's a, the hot you can customize the
Okay.
yeah, instead of several things.
Okay.
And there's a code to enlarge it also.
Oh.
And you can set up. See, Alex, you see if I change this from 0 and previously the x-axis, I give the x-axis numpy range 0 to 4. If I change
Okay.
it to 0 to 8, also wider, you can just customize it.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, one thing I want to add is, as you see, if we want to add things, add like bars or add anything to the plot, you just start and then add another plot. For example, here in this example, I show the each person and by each day, right? I can do the stacked plot, stacked group by plot, but I can add a line to show the total number of products. Then what I can do is just add a plot. You just add one plot. The number I give it is the total, so it should be the last one. And then I will add a line. You can customize this line, add some markers. It doesn't look very nice. And you have to change the legend also. So, but I just want to say that if you want to add anything, you just add it in here. Next one I want to talk about is the pie chart. When you want to show the percentage of each person's contribution, then you use a pie chart. You want to see each department's contribution to the enrollment and want to see the percentage, then pie chart is perfect. But if you don't want to see the percentage, show the percentage, group bar chart also works. So I kind of think these two types of chart are for the same types of data, one categorical and one numerical feature, but this one shows the percentage. There are a couple of parameters, as you see. The first parameter is the data source, and this one explode is set up the distance of this pie to the center. So if the explode, this parameter, if this one is 0, 0, 0, then these are all together with no separations, right? That's how it's exploded. So this one is John. John is the best seller, so I want to highlight it. its distance to the center is a little bit further larger. So you can set up this explode this parameter to highlight some of the pies. And the label is just these names, labels to tell them shadow. You can, it doesn't have to have shadow. And this is the auto percentage. You want to show the percentage numbers on the pies. That's auto percentage, and this is zero. This is float and keeping 2 decimals. Okay. We can you can just copy this, I guess. And again, there are 4 parameters. So this first parameter I give it is will show the last column, the total number of records. So the data is in the 6. And then the explode, I can just skip the explode now, for now. And labels is labels is the name of the person, so it should be the first column. First column. It has the first column. And then shadow, I don't need the shadow. And I can set up an auto percentage. Okay. So it gives me an error again. The slice. I didn't get the slice. See, iLog is the last column, and the labels is correct also. So it shows the labels is wrong. Here. So in the labels, I didn't give the iLog, so now it should be correct. Okay. Oh, this looks nice. And we just want to add it to explode to set up the parameter for explode. So I could highlight some of the person. And as we see, so this first person is Anna, and I don't want to highlight him. Just leave it blank and or 0. Jason, I don't want to highlight him also. Just give it 0. And the third one is John. I want to highlight him. I can set up 0.4. Okay, so now this person is exploding from the center. Okay, so that's a parameter for explode. Next type I want to mention, just briefly mention the line chart. It's very easy. You just can plot, give it the value you give it the value, the data source you want, and then you just plot it. And you can set up the line, the pattern for the line. This could be dotted line, this could be a line without breaks. This means the color, yellow and red. So there are many different types of markers available. So you can refer to the source to set up the line type, the pattern for the line. And also, so sometimes when we have a data with a number of years and the records, we could use a bar chart. We could use a line chart. When do we use a bar chart? When do we use the line chart? Usually when the numbers are like over 10 or 20, when it's this variable is a consecutive, means the numbers, the interval between the numbers are very small, then you use the line chart, consecutive numbers. And if the interval is large, like 10 years, this could be good for a bar chart is good. Okay, so there's a different use the difference to use of a line chart and a bar chart. Next one I want to talk about is the histogram. As you all take the elementary statistics class and be familiar with that, histogram shows the frequency of the data on distributions. So here, this is the it's a histogram, which means the frequency. The height of the bars means the frequency, like this number, maybe 20, between 0 to 20. There are few numbers between that, right? So the numbers are concentrated in this part. These bars are high, means that these numbers are very frequent. The center is 70. It's 70. So in the example I give, I did then so in the example, give the mean, the generated 300 numbers, the mean is 70, or I can use a 40. Okay, and then the standard deviation of this is maybe 10 to 10. I could generate 300 numbers, and I'll use this data for the. I use this data for the histogram. So PRT is. And the next parameter here, the 30, the number 30 is the number of beans here. So I think this is from another number, it's not 30. So if you set up 40, there will be more beans and more specific, but it doesn't, you don't have to set it with a very large number, or this will be individual values, and it doesn't show the shape of the distribution. Okay, let's try 30 again. So this gives us an histogram with normal distribution. Centers are around 40, the mean is 40, and the standard deviation is 10. So that means 67% of the data should center around, should be between 30 and 50. Okay. Do we have any questions so far? And if you have if you set up 60 beans, this really doesn't show the shape. or if it goes still shows the shape follows the normal distribution. But if it goes up, it will be individual numbers. Then it doesn't show the shape. So you have to set up an appropriate number. Still have a little bit of time. Box plot, I'm not going to plot it here. So box plot, I believe the code is a PLT box plot, and with the same data, you can change it to a box plot to show the number, to show the distribution. So this is the box plot. This is the median. Right? Let's try to read this. Median means there are 50% of the data is below the median, and the 50% of the data is up above the median. And these two lines means that the quartiles. This means that 25% of the data is under here, right? And this means that 75% of the data is over here, so below here. And this is the whisker line. Whisker line means that this is 70% and added with this quartile they call QR. So this is 75% and plus this range, and outside of these whisker lines, these are usually identified as outliers. But it really depends on the data. Like we said, sometimes we set up the outliers and the range is smaller and have more outliers. So it depends on the person. And sometimes, like the case we use, the range is very small. So this is a box plot, and it helps us to tell the outliers and the distribution. So from the box plot, we can tell the quartiles. The first quartile is about 75, and the third quartile is about 50. Scatter plot. Scatter plot is often used when you have two numerical features. We want to see their relationship, whether they are related. For example, you want to see like in the assignment, we have the GNP, the national income of each country and their population growth. We want to see whether these two features have a relationship or not. Usually, if the country is richer, we assume that the country has a better population growth, maybe negative. It depends, because some countries have bigger population and they have more babies, like African countries. So we want to see whether the income, the national income, has a negative or positive relationship with the population growth. So then you use a scatter plot. So really used to examine the relationship between two numerical features. So here I just use some random numbers. And just give the method the x value and the y value, and then the marker. You can set up dots, or you can set up triangles. You can change this. The marker is to change the changes the pattern. Okay. Okay. In this plot, it looks it does have some relationship, like linear relationship, but they quite scattered and not centered on the line. But the relationship may not be that strong, but it does follow some pattern and a relationship. So next week, on Wednesday, we'll talk about how to explain the graphs, which is equally important. And when you get a task, hey, boss, here's the data, but what does they show? No, I don't know. You cannot say that, right? You want to tell him also what it shows. Subplots. Now you want to show the show a couple of plots on the one figure. Then we use a subplot. Here there are 4 parameters. It's really easy to understand. Number of rows and the number of columns, and whether you share the x-axis or not. Here they shared the x-axis. These two groups share the x-axis. Usually you share the x-axis, and then you can use the index to add data to each plot. So this x-axis really give us a list, a two-dimensional, like a two-dimensional array, and so it really gives us a two-dimensional array, and each number represent a subplot. So, and this figure is represents this entire figure. So you can set up the title for the figure, and then you can set up the data for the individual subplot. Okay. I'll give it is a subplot. We need to give is the number of columns and number of rows. So I can set up 2, 3. Here x. And then I can use this to index. So if we do this now, what will happen? Let's see. It will give us an empty figure with 6 plots, 6 subplots, and now I can add data to the subplots. Use the index. 0, 0. I believe this should be either this one of the plots on the corner. It should be the top one. So let's give it the data. Should I give the data for the Monday? I do the Monday date. So I do the this format. Yes. So this gives the Monday data, and then you can set up the next ones. 3 columns, so it has 3 columns. So this represents the row number, and this could go from 0, 1, 2. Right? I'll just use this. Now this should be group Tuesday. Okay. Let's see what it shows. Okay, I guess we redefined this data frame, so need to do this, run this code again. Okay. All right, it tells us it's almost time to off, but it shows that added the data to the each subplot. And you can try the code, all the code, and work on the assignment with the examples and bring questions to Wednesday. Okay. And also I'll post the instruction for the project assignment, which is for next week. We'll have no class next week, and you will work on the project, which takes up 15% of the final grade. I will not be here on Monday. We have no class the whole week, but on Wednesday, for Wednesday class, I'll be here. If you have any question, you can come and meet me. Okay. That is for next Wednesday.